What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live each and every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 107.3 FM. We also have our affiliates in Alexandria, Louisiana, as well as down in New Orleans. And if you're not able to catch us on radio live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us on Facebook. It's the Jaguar Journal.
Opinionated, outspoken, informative. The Jaguar Journal. Your source for the latest information on Southern University sports and SWAC athletics. A Baton Rouge sports talk tradition.
All right, good morning. It is Saturday. It is 7:09 a.m., and you know what time it is. It is the Jaguar Journal. Good morning. I am Perry White. Good to have you guys with us, man, on this, as we get into the new year, and Happy New Year to everybody. This is our first show of 2025. So, you got to make those transitions as you start signing stuff. You got to let that 2024 go, right? You can't keep putting 2024 on everything. It's 2025. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you guys had a safe new year. We want to send our condolences out to the families that were affected by the unfortunate circumstance that took place down in New Orleans on New Year's night, and the families that were affected. Man, tragic stuff, man. And just hate that for the families, man. So, prayers to those families and everybody that was affected. Hope you guys had a safe new year. I hope you're coming into the new year. What they say, new year, new me. Hope you guys getting that, new thoughts, letting go some of the old and bringing in the new. I'm realizing I'm getting older. New Year's, when you're younger, man, everything just seemed like it's a reason to just kick it for it, right? Birthdays felt like that. New Year's felt like that. Nowadays, I really didn't even care about counting down the clock and doing all that stuff. It almost just felt like, to me, it's just another day, honestly, to me. It's like, all right, it's just going from one day to the next day. It's just using another year, that's it, changing months, but as I'm getting older, man, it matters not to me. It's, for some people, it's the festive celebration, the popping the bottles, the champagne toast, New Year, new me. It's a celebration. Not really so much for me no more. That's when I said, man, I think I'm getting older. I could rather be at home in the bed as it go from 11:59 to 12 o'clock. Ask me, was I at home in the bed? I wasn't, though. I'm talking all this noise. I was out in these streets, okay? I was out in these streets. I was having a good time, but it's like if I could rather go home, I probably would, and that's eventually what I did. But I had a good time, though, nonetheless. Brought it in a couple of my partners, man, just making sure we staying on track to continue to elevate, continue to do better with our lives. That's the main thing, man. Considering where a lot of times when we take a moment to step back and look at where we come from, looking at who we are today, out of most of us, we're parents, we're fathers, and just realize, life for us is about elevating and keep trying to do better and pushing to do better. As, of course, I'm a black man, and just as a man in general, I come from humble beginnings. I really can say that. Come from humble beginnings. Hey, it ain't the story of every black man, but it's my story. I grew up in the hood, but just because you grew up in the hood don't mean you was hood in your house, right? Single parent household, a mother who taught me a lot about morals and values, taught me respect, most of all, taught me education. I went to a private school pretty much my whole life. Did y'all know that? Yeah, went to a private school. So there was one group of people who I went to school with that didn't understand when I left school, my neighborhood and my community where I moved to, where I lived at. I went to school with well-off people who I would be in class listening to them talking about they flew out somewhere over the weekend just to go shopping. And I ain't do nothing but run up and down the block, me and my partners doing silly stuff. But it was a sacrifice my mom made in order to give me an education. I ultimately went to college. I came to Southern. I got accepted to plenty of colleges. Could have went to anywhere. Some of them that I was looking at outside of HBCUs, Notre Dame, Auburn, University of Arkansas. Got accepted to all of those schools. I chose the path to go the HBCU route that I wanted to go. I wanted the experience. And not only that, I just wanted to be a part of it, something about the culture. But, as I look around and I say all that because, man, when me and the buddies, we have our time back, man, it's amazing when you take a step back and look at where you come from compared to where you're at and just realize your journey. And I'm saying all that to say as we transition into 2025, just giving you a brief little background on me because a lot of people don't know. A lot of people really don't know me. Right? Don't know where I come from. They just know I'm in Louisiana and I rep Southern. But as you go through that journey and you look at where you come from and you look at where you're going, man, you just got to continue to push forward. And just, for me, I just thank God for the opportunities. And making sure that I was, woke enough to see the blessings in front of me, to take advantage of the opportunities when it presented itself. You make mistakes in life, no doubt about it. But what I teach my kids, even in mistakes, it's about learning from those mistakes. We all got a family member or a friend or somebody who, you just hold near and dear to you. Just do the same stupid stuff all the time. And you have that little forgiving heart and forgiving mindset for them, like, they'll do better, but they just do the same stupid stuff. I was taught, man, don't do the same stupid stuff. You're going to make mistakes. That's life. You're going to learn. You better learn. And for me, that was what it was about, man. And just going through the journey, I look at even coming to Louisiana. When I moved to Louisiana, I transferred to Southern, right? Didn't start off at Southern. But when I transferred here, I didn't know not one single person in the state of Louisiana. Not one single soul. Didn't have a friend, didn't have a family member, didn't have nothing. It was just a hope. Let's do this. Let's take a break. I'll come back on the other side and continue the story. I got to pay some bills, man. Y'all can't be. They don't pay me unless we pay the bills. So, all right, Mike. Let's pay the bills. We back more to Jaguar Journal.
Quincy Richard as the quarterback. And Don, this is a man who's really changed his game from last season, and he's a graduate student as well.
Yes, he has, Bob. Quincy Richard has matured into the unquestioned leader of this Southern University offensive attack. 10 wins this season, and he set school marks for passing yards and touchdown passes. And Bobby's had a lot of help. Only 5 sacks on the season.
He earned his undergraduate degree back in August. He's taking some master's classes, and he wants to be a lawyer.
Here's Richard looking in the end zone. Has a man there. Touchdown, Southern University.
Play clock down to 3. Richard gets it off over the middle. Touchdown!
Holmes goes in motion and comes set on a 1st and 10. Richard completes it. That's Ard. Ard down the sideline. He could go. And finally pushed out of bounds. Richard's run for 10 touchdowns this season. He's going to keep it. Richard goes in. Make it 11 for Quincy Richard. Richard wide open. Touchdown, Chris Davis. Oh, does he love playing football even more now?
That in the flag against Grambling, holding on the kickoff.
Richard looking deep, and it's a touchdown.
But only 3 times did he go down. Twice he ran out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage. It goes down as a sack.
2nd and 8. The deep ball, and that's our man, Chris Davis, for the touchdown. Time for today's State Farm Players of the Game. And from Southern University, the quarterback, number 15, Quincy Richard. 34 of 42, 552 yards, 5 touchdown passes.
Quincy, on behalf of State Farm Insurance Company, I want to present you with a trophy for the most outstanding player today. Congratulations.
All right, we're back. It's the Jaguar Journal. Good morning to everybody. Hope you guys are having a good morning. I'm kind of just giving you guys, as we get going at 7:20 a.m., just a little background. I realize sometimes as I go around, people know me from being around, but a lot of people don't really know me. Some people think I'm from Louisiana. Some people think I went to school right here in Baton Rouge. I often find I'm not like a mystery, but it's like, all right, well, where did this guy really come from, right? So kind of give you a little brief overview because I was talking about, reflecting on last year, coming into the new year with a couple of my buddies and just looking at the journey, our paths to where we are at in life, being fathers, being out trying to be productive citizens in society. But for most of us, especially that look like myself as African Americans, we know the journey is one that is well traveled. It's been tough. There's a lot of curve bumps. And the fact that I'm even on radio, never thought I saw this day considering where I came from, right? Never thought I'd see a lot of things compared to where I come from, right? I was a bad kid, but I was a smart kid. I did bad stuff because of the environment that was around. I grew up in the hood, but like I said before, I went to private school. I went to private school all the way until I was in the 9th grade, right? Got a great education. My environment when I got home, though, was completely different from the environment of the kids that I went to school with, though. I went to school with wealthy kids, the who's who in terms of money. And I was far from that. But as I said before, you can grow up somewhere, and as you growing up, don't realize, because in my household, we didn't realize what we didn't have. We appreciated what we did have. I knew I wanted better because, of course, I was around folks who portrayed a world that was better because of the resources that they had behind them. the judgment of success of what their parents were compared to the situation that I was in a one-parent household where the mother did everything she could in order to provide, but taught me morals and values, taught me hard work, taught me what it meant to grind and work and do for yourself and appreciate what you worked hard for. The very fabric of who I am today that gave me the drive to become somebody and to do something with myself. And a lot of times I thought it was tough because when I looked around at what I thought mothers were supposed to be with the nurturing, I got nurturing, but I got tough love at the same time. You're going to get up, you're going to clean up, you're going to do things, hey, this is just what it's going to be. And as I got older, I started to look around at my friends and realize I was ahead of the game because of what was instilled in me being younger and what my mom was able to teach me. That gave me a drive, and I always had a drive. I always been a grinder. I was a hustler even when I was, look, man, I could tell you a lot. But a lot of people, when you see me, you don't know my backstory. You don't know, how hard it was or the things I went through or did. And it's nothing like no abuse or nothing. It was just I was a product of my environment. I was grinding. I was hustling. I was doing whatever it took. I was paying bills when I was 15, 16 in the house, making money from doing all of whatever I was doing and trying to take care of the house. That's just where I was at, mindset. When I was 15, I was probably 18 in the mind, 18, 19 by just the way I was grinding, the way I was moving, how I was taking care of things. But I was smart because the school I went to, I picked up a lot. Education was what was taught to me, though. Education was like the only outlet. And in my household, it was education or the military. Real talk, you had two choices. That's what my mom told me. You either going to the military or you going to college. And I'm like, man, to be honest, ain't nobody finna be telling me what to do, so I ain't going to the military. Shout out to all our servicemen and women out there for all that you do. It wasn't for me, though. So I had some teachers that pulled me to the side and was like, you sitting here half, you know what? I can walk into class and make a C easily. That was the easiest thing I could do. But it was like they saw the potential, like, man, come on, dude. You a straight A student. Put your effort into it. Grades shot up. College started to come up. I applied to all of these colleges, did my ACT. I had PWIs. I had HBCUs. The school I really was going to go to when I graduated high school was Auburn. Auburn was the school I was in love with. I love Notre Dame because I grew up loving Notre Dame. Notre Dame and Auburn was the two biggest schools in terms of the PWIs that I was going to go at. HBCUs, of course, Howard, Clark Atlanta, Southern, Jackson State Prairie View, UAPB. UAPB threw me so much money I could not turn it down. I just couldn't turn it down. I couldn't. But just looking at the journey, and I started out a great student. But, of course, I tell anybody, I don't have a problem telling the story. Man, look, I got distracted. Drinking and smoking, partying, kicking it. I went from a 3.5 to where when I was ready to transfer from UAPB, I had a 1.7 GPA. I heard that, Mike. But it's just a story about a journey to how I'm even right here because, look, it's life. It happens. I ain't sitting here acting like it was perfect because the journey of the ups and downs, and I say this because all of this, we got to teach kids, and I teach my kids, life ain't perfect for everything that you see on social media. It ain't always everybody smiling and kumbaya, and it looks like it's no part of failure. Failure is a part of life, and that's the journey as I'm looking from 2024 to 2025, just looking back at the failure that made me successful, that put me in position to be successful. I came and transferred to Southern. I had to sit out of school for 2 years to get to Southern. because, one, I didn't qualify because of the transfer rule because my GPA was so low. And two, I couldn't afford it because out-of-state tuition was so expensive. But I knew I wanted to go to school here. I had my mind made up. I was determined. I learned two things that ultimately helped me get back into school. One was they had a rule at the time, if you sit out of school for 2 years, no matter what your GPA is, that you can eventually enroll into the school. And my credits carried over the ones that was good because I had changed my major. So for 2 years, and then out of that, I also learned if you work in the state of Louisiana, then you ultimately get in-state tuition. So I said, you know what? Best of both worlds. I'll sit out, I'll work, get that in-state tuition, and then when it's time, I'll come out on the other side and I'll be able to transfer in. While in that process of doing all of that, I made sure I knocked on doors every single day at Southern University to get people to know who I was. Ms. Robin Merrick is one of them. She'll tell you, I showed up at her office door every single day. She was like, who are you? Then eventually it was like, what do you want? Then all right, Perry, what? I was like, I'm determined to go to school. I don't have the GPA. I don't have the money, but I'm determined. Eventually, the people that was around who saw me, especially, and I give a lot of thanks to the Alumni Federation because that's the story of Southern University for me, of how people who were educated saw something in me and gave me an opportunity when they didn't have to do nothing for me. They didn't know who I was. They didn't know where I came from. They didn't know my motive, but they saw me and decided to give me a shot. And I decided to never let them down. Once I made my mind up to show them that I was determined to get an education and pull my GPA up and do all of that, before I knew it, I was getting scholarships left and right. And I became heavily involved in everything that I could. And I say all that to say because of my journey in 2025, that's how I'm even here to even talk to you guys here on the radio, and whoever else that's listening, why I dedicate what I have done to Southern and HBCUs, because it gave me an opportunity in life through my journey, even through failure. I was able to get a rebirth and try something completely different. And it gave me that opportunity in a place that I knew nobody, that I knew nothing. So when people say, why you be going so hard for Southern? Why do you do the things that you do and haven't moved on and done these things? Because I feel like I owe something to Southern and to the people who ultimately helped me when I got here, because I was rock bottom. I was down and out. But I was determined. And the fact that people noticed me and gave me that opportunity and allowed me to show that. And years later, who would think I'll be sitting here being able to broadcast, talk to you guys about HBCUs, and it goes beyond the sports thing. But it's about the journey. And I say that to say everybody has their own journey in life, and I respect any journey of whatever anybody comes through. Regardless of what it is, I respect it, because I can't judge you by your journey, because that was tough times. But for me, this is where I am today and why I'm still dedicated to Southern, because it's a love because of what people did and what they saw in me, and how I got a degree where I probably would have been, it wouldn't have been nothing out there for me. And it was because of my own mistakes. It wasn't because I wasn't smart enough. It was just because when you get complacent, you get lazy, you get distracted. I was kicking it. That's part of it. You look up, you're partying, you're smoking, you're drinking, you're skipping class. That's the life. How many of us have done that? Or how many of us know some kids or cousins where it just didn't work out because of those decision making? It happens. But I got back on track. And I knew at that point, I was like, no more could I go backwards. So that's ultimately who I am today, because of that journey, because of that tough road, and why I sit here today talking to you guys about Southern, and why I talk about HBCUs and have a love for it, because there's a lot of things I could talk about, but I think I owe my all, and I owe it to Southern to give back and to continue to push forward in supporting that institution, because there's going to be many more just like me. It didn't stop or begin with me. It'll be many more just like me that's going to show up over that hump looking for an opportunity, in which that was the very fabric of what that institution was founded upon. When you look at African Americans who wanted to do better with their lives, who wanted opportunities for themselves, and who wanted to get an education to better themselves and their families, it is the very fabric and the mission of what that institution was ultimately founded upon. And that fabric of that mission still lives forward today as we move forward, because there are going to be plenty more Perry Whites and you and whoever else that are going to show up looking for an opportunity in which the rest of society probably would have deemed them unfit for that opportunity. Let's get ready to take a break. You guys stay tuned. More to Jaguar Journal. It's On the Yard Sports, and I'm Perry White, and what I need for you to do is go follow and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter right now.
T.R. Ricks is a fifth-year senior who's getting his first chance to drive the train that Bob talked about. And right now, he's driving it quite well, because the Southern Jaguars are kicking butt in the SWAC conference. As Bob mentioned, 6-0 overall in the SWAC, and T.R. Ricks has played so well, over 2,000 yards passing. In the last 3 games running the football, he's been over 100 yards on the ground. The respect factor that he gets from his teammates is incredible. As a fifth-year senior who's never started, they elected him captain. And the numbers he has put up are represented on your screen. 27 total touchdowns on the offense, a pass percentage of nearly 60%. He could be the SWAC Player of the Year on the offensive side.
And they're going to get a huge dose of the best offensive player in the SWAC, and that being Thomas Ricks.
Yeah, what Thomas Ricks has found a way to do is just beat defenses either with his arm, with his feet, or with his leadership capabilities, finding a way to win the games late with fourth quarter comebacks. He showed versatility and athleticism. He's a tremendous athlete that knows how to win, most importantly.
Really is a leader both on and off the field.
I just think it has come to a maturity level. I have a 4-year-old son, and, when he was born, I had to grow up fast, and, just staying in school and practicing every day, trying to get better every day, just so he can have a better future. It's just been my inspiration. So, I just think that's my motor that drives me and, keeps me in the game.
His 4-year-old son, Collier, has not missed a game this season. They throw the football around in Rick's dorm room at Southern, and he says it's great playing football with Collier. 1st and 10. Ricks. He's got Vernon. Vernon makes the catch at the 45.
They can run the entire offense with all those guys in the game.
Ricks to Vernon. 1st down. Holmes in the backfield. Ricks. 1st down. Gage on the tackle, but not until Ricks picks up the 1st down. 2nd and 7. Ricks. Overstreet's got it. Across midfield. Ricks. As a receiver downfield. It's caught for a touchdown. Territory. Ricks. Fakes the pitch. Gets inside the 15.
He's in the type of young men that represent his philosophy in life and in football.
Ricks in a shotgun. He's going to run it out to the 10. And 2nd and 11 after the holding penalty. Sidearm toss.
All right, good morning. Let's jump right into it. I am Perry White. Good morning to everybody. It's the Jaguar Journal. I want to welcome our very special guest this morning. He is no stranger to the show. He's the head women's basketball coach at Southern University, Coach Carlos Funches. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Perry. How you doing?
Man, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, brother.
Hey, you bring it in the new year. You guys get a victory Thursday night against Prairie View, and it is the new format in women's basketball in this conference, now with games, standalone women's basketball games on Thursday night. For you, I just got to ask, with that transitioning, your thoughts on that new format with the schedule moving forward in conference play.
Well, I like playing with the guys, playing Saturday and Monday, but, this is something that we're going to have to get used to. So, it's just one of those things. It's just a change, and it's going to take a little getting used to for everybody.
You look at you guys' non-conference schedule, It has been a tough one, a brutal road, as you guys have taken on plenty of top 25 teams, one in Oklahoma, Iowa State, Nebraska. Then you guys took on North Carolina Central. Then you move on. You took on Texas. And then you just wrapped up on the 20th of December, non-conference against Illinois. A tough road, but nonetheless, I got to ask because I heard these same sentiments on the other side from Grambling State women's basketball coach when she took on LSU. And she was a little frustrated about the matchup and was like, I'm not built like Coach Funches down there in Baton Rouge with that tough non-conference schedule. I'm not much of a fan of that. But for you, taking on these tough teams, top 25 teams, building a program and continuously getting your team ready for conference play, what is that non-conference schedule like in your opinion for yourself?
Well, it's just a chance for us to grow as a team, as a unit. We do a lot of team bonding when we're on these trips and things like that also. And you get a chance to play against different styles of basketball, styles that you might not see in the conference. So, you have to prepare for everything from zone defenses to full court pressure like Texas is going to play. So it's just an opportunity to go out and get better as a unit.
When we looking around women's basketball today with the talent that's around, what are you seeing in the talent, especially when you play in those top 25 teams that separate when you see why they're the top 25?
Well, size is a big difference, from the perimeter. I mean, most of those guards are 6'1", 6'2" on the wing. And then when you start talking about post position, most of them have at least one or two kids at 6'5" or 6'6". So, that's the biggest difference. Just a size differential.
You guys take on Prairie View, Sandy Pugh, former coach here at Southern University. You know her very well as you was on the staff with her before she transitioned and went over to Prairie View. You guys go on the road 60-48. You get the victory. You shoot 21 of 51 for 41%, 3 of 11 from the three-point line for 27%, and 15 of 35 from the free throw line, shooting 42% on the other side for Prairie View. 14 of 45 shooting around the perimeter for 31%, 2 of 10 from the three-point line, shooting 20%, and they were 18 of 25 for 72% from the free throw line. You guys out-rebounded them, 40 rebounds, 20 offensively and 20 defensively, to Prairie View's 29 rebounds, 11 offensively, 18 defensively. You're looking at your team as you guys seem like no matter how tough that non-conference is, once they get into conference play, it's automatic. It's like autopilot. What did you learn from your team coming out of non-conference and then coming into conference play to be able to start off 1-0?
Well, I thought, in the non-conference season, we played some of the top 25 teams tough for one quarter or two quarters. And I think over in the Bahamas when we played, we were down 4 going into the fourth quarter against North Carolina State, they have an excellent team. And then we played the University of Washington, and with 5 minutes to go, it was a 4-point game. So we showed that we could play some really good basketball at times. We just needed to put 4 quarters together. Now, the other night going into the Prairie View game, I thought we were a little rusty starting out, but we continued to get better and played hard, tough, hard-nosed defense. But one thing, like you said, the free throws. We were 15 for 35 from the free throw line. So we must improve on that in order to get what we want to get.
Yeah, free throw shooting. And then in this game, are we seeing even in women's basketball what we're seeing on the other side with men's, with the amount of threes being shot in the game? What is women's basketball game looking like these days?
Well, it's going to vary from team to team. We didn't take – I thought we took 11 threes the other night. And it was just dictated by how they were playing. We got to the paint all night, and that's evident in us taking 35 free throws. But we got to do a better job of, knocking down the free throws. Some nights we might shoot 23. It just depends on what the game is going to call for to try to get a victory.
Let's go through this team. Coach, introduce us to some returning starters of this team and the new faces of this team that's going to power the Jaguars through conference play.
Well, the usual Aaliyah Fontenot, she's returning from last year. Tiana Lidge, Sky Castro, Anaya Gordine, she played during the conference season last year. And all of those are going to be solid contributors. Dakai Sanders, she transferred in from Alabama State. She's running the point guard position for us. Sanaa Reed also, she's another returnee. She's doing a great job for us coming in off the bench. We have some good freshmen, Jocelyn Tate and Demar Porter. I mean, both of those young ladies are going to be solid here in the future. I think Jocelyn had 9 points and 3 or 4 rebounds the other night, but she's a tenacious defender. We got Tanaya Lawson, who actually transferred in from Texas Southern, so she'll be playing against her old team today. So we're just looking forward to just meshing and getting better each and every game, and hopefully by tournament time we'll be clicking on all cylinders.
You're talking about Texas Southern. They defeated Grambling on Thursday, and I think that turned some heads of everybody saying, well, okay, well, what about Texas Southern? Looking at them, what do you see on film from today's opponent?
They are very athletic. They're going to crash the boards. They have some kids that can really shoot the basketball. So it's going to be tough. I mean, they're going to play with a lot of energy, especially coming off a win like they did against the preseason #1 team. So, I've been keeping an eye on them the entire year, but they've been playing some solid basketball.
And, can't do this without your staff. Your staff heading into this year, give us a rundown of who's helping making this thing go with you.
Well, Jeremy Bowden, he's my defensive coordinator. He does an excellent job of getting the kids prepared each and every game. And Patrice Carter, she also does a great job. She does all my out-of-bounds stuff underneath that sideline out of bounds, and she's over academics, so she does an amazing job. We have graduated 28 of 28 seniors over the last 7 years, so, that's a testament to all the hard work that they put in on the academic side.
We live in this ever-changing world, Coach, of the transfer portal, and I heard you say you have some transfers on this team. What is the transfer portal? Because we get caught up into it, talking about it in college football all the time. But what is this world of transfer portal looking like in women's basketball, and how are you able to navigate through that world? And is there similarities across all sports that you've seen thus far with the transfer portal?
Well, it creates a lot of parity, I think. You have some Power 5 kids that go to school and don't get a chance to play a lot, then decide to transfer. And then you get opportunity to get those kids. For us, it's been more of a good fit and fulfilling some needs. We had an immediate need at that point guard position, and I knew Dakaya Sanders and knew what kind of player she was, playing against her for the last 4 years. So I knew she could come in and immediately help. So, that it depends on what your team is going to need. I like to get kids in, freshmen, and develop them. Mm-hmm. But if you have an immediate need, you have to go out and get some experience. That's just, the way the game is nowadays.
Yeah, you're talking about the developmental side, and that's the part I still love to hear coaches say, because we live in this plug-and-play society, because it's like, how much time do coaches really have because of the pressure of it's almost like instant gratification these days. Like, hey, we want it and we want it now. And for you, when you look around, what is, along with the transfer portal, the difficulties of navigating NIL with women's basketball at this time?
Well, with us, it hadn't affected us a whole lot, but, we play against a lot of these, Power 5 teams, and they have kids that's making $250,000 a year, $150,000 a year. You see kids leave Power 5 programs like Oregon and transfer to Nebraska or to Texas. And, a lot of times that's due to NIL money. I mean, it's amazing, but some of these kids are making major money. As a matter of fact, I heard one kid this year got offered $3 million to go to a couple of different schools. So, and she's a high school kid. So, I mean, it's unbelievable the way the game has changed here in the last few years.
Does it make it difficult for Southern in particular when you're looking at, a young lady who is coming from a Power 5 and you say, she may be able to fit us here at Southern? For our, we consider low resource, how difficult is that for us to be able to go out and get some of that type of talent?
It's very difficult. If the school is offering them $100,000 and, you're giving them a full scholarship and maybe a little cost of attendance, maybe it's $3,000 or $4,000. I mean, it's it's slim to none because a lot of those kids are going to go for the money.
Yep.
But, you know, we want to get the right young ladies in here, the right fit. We have some young ladies now that had opportunity to go get a lot of money in cost of attendance, but they decided to come here simply because they wanted to be a part of a family-oriented program. And, you know, that's the young ladies that we target.
Have we seen the transition of like what we've been watching in college football, where you have the athlete who is getting developed? I'll take like an example, Giovanni Gibson at UAPB, right? He took the Division II route from Opelousas, went to the University of Arkansas, Monticello, then went to UAPB, and then became an All-American. Now he's signed at Oklahoma. Are we seeing that where there are young ladies in this level who are being able to move up and take that next step to the next level?
You will in some cases. We've had young ladies in the SWAC to leave and go to Power 5 schools.
Yeah.
You know, especially here in the last 3 or 4 years. So, you know, you do face that, but again, you know, you want to have some kids that's going to have some loyalty to the program and stick with it regardless of, you know, how good the offer is from another school. You know, again, that's the young ladies that we try to target.
And let me ask, Coach, the last question for you is, as I try to wrap my head, because I don't get a chance to talk about it on the women's sports a lot when it comes to transfer portal and NIL. If it was up to you, and you can answer, you don't have to answer it, what would you want Southern's NIL to look like that you think could help, you know, take the program to another level? Because, you know, there's always room for growth. There's always room to be able to move forward. For you, what would that look like to help take it to one more step above more than what it is now?
Well, I can't put a dollar figure on it, but again, you know, you want to target the right kids. You don't want the kids in it just for the money. You know, you want them to come in and do it for the love of the game, number one. Of course, they need to be taken care of a little bit. But, you know, I want kids that's going to be loyal because the money's going to come. You know, even one day when you're working or whatever. But, you know, come in, get a quality education, and play basketball for the right reasons. And to me, the right reasons are to try to be a part of a winning unit and continue to grow a family-oriented group of young ladies and try to win championships.
Yeah. And I asked that, Coach, because I want people to start to understand and wrap their mind around the ever-changing, because I think when it comes to recruiting, people just think you can just go out there and you can sell Southern. In actuality, right, you can go out there and you can just sell Southern, but I think you and many other coaches who are in the profession realize that on the other end, there is an incentive that these young men and young women want to come along with that, with now being able to go along with the God-given ability and the talent that they have. And I think we're going to have to come together as lovers and supporters of Southern and realize we got to put our money where our mouth is in order to help coaches like yourself to help elevate and take programs to the next level. Because it's one thing to win a conference championship, but then it's like, okay, what do we have once we come back the next year to build from what we had last year? And that's the part that I want to continue to push that message that we can win it, but then what are we going to help build from it the next year? Or we're going to come back to the same situation. And it's going to take all of us as supporters and lovers of Southern. And I like to have that conversation on the public platform to get people to understand it's more than just Coach Funches going out there winning games. Coach Funches and his staff need support, too, when they're going out there recruiting, when they're selling Southern more than the name of Southern, and when you want them to do more than just what they did the previous year. It takes support and it takes finances, and I hope people will eventually start to buy into seeing that if we want to take this to the next level, we got to put our money where our mouth is, Coach.
Well, you're right, exactly, because even, you know, recruiting out of the transfer portal, within the first 5 minutes, 90% of the kids are going to ask you, Coach, what is your cost of attendance? You know, how much money will I be getting extra every semester? You know, that's within the first 5 minutes, because just about every team in the SWAC right now offers some type of cost of attendance. So, you know, that's a barrier right there. You're going to always have to jump over.
Yeah, and I'm right here anytime you need me, Coach. We can have the conversation. We can bring more awareness, and that's ultimately what I want to do, bring more awareness to how this ever-changing landscape of college athletics continues to change, and what is it doing to affect us on our level right here in the SWAC and what you're doing at Southern, because you still find success in what you're doing. And so, man, I appreciate you coming on this morning. Good luck against a pretty look like it's going to be a tough Texas Southern team today.
It's going to be a tough game, no doubt about it. We're going to have to play well.
Well, Coach, man, good luck to you guys. I know you guys shoot around coming up, man. Appreciate you for coming on this morning, man. And Happy New Year, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you, Perry. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. That was the voice of Coach Carlos Funches, the head women's basketball coach at Southern University. Let's take a break real quick, and we'll come back. Stay tuned. More of the Jaguar Journal.
It's On the Yard Sports, and I'm Perry White, and what I need for you to do is go follow and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter right now.
Talk about offense, we talk about Southern, and it begins with their passing game.
Tom, beyond potent, we're talking about high octane, we're talking about fast break, we're talking about 41 points a game, some 500-plus yards since Terrence Levy has taken over this offense.
Because that young man doesn't drop any ball.
With the legacy that you started here, you got to feel happy to see it continue on with Doug Williams.
Ball now back at the 22-yard line. Levy, no pressure at all. Touchdown, Ingram. The Bayou Classic. Levy on a first and goal play. Throws a touchdown. Grambling comes with a blitz. Levy steps in the pocket, and his pass is caught. One-handed grab.
Sort of in the middle of the road of the SWAC, but immediately they jump on the Jackson State defense. And here's Levy rolling out. And the pass is caught. Ball is at the 31-yard line. Again throwing the football downfield. Oh, and his receiver Hayes makes the catch. See you later. Touchdown, Southern. If you're going to get, I got some free tickets. Look out for it, brother. Going downfield. Oh, and what a play by Southern.
Score. He's played a lot tougher ever since. And this is a free play for Southern.
2nd and 15.
It's a free play.
Levy completes his
pass.
It's
a free play.
Oh, and he's still up.
It's a free play.
Hayes is going to continue running inside the 10, the 5. Unbelievable, Michael Hayes. 3rd down. And 23 for a first. Levy over the middle. Nice pass that time. 2nd and 20. Levy doesn't have to get it all, but he's going to have to pick up some yards. Here he is throwing, nice catch made.
Receiver, Michael Hayes. There he goes.
Hayes makes the catch. Hayes still on his feet. Hayes looking for blocking. Hayes trying to find a hole. Hayes is still on his feet. He alley-oops. He's inside the 15 and drawn out a foul.
Touchdown.
Backfield. Plenty of time for Levy across the middle. Has his man at the 15. You know, I don't know if you want to break the spirit of Terrence Levy or not. Here he wings one wide open down the middle, and a one-handed grab made.
The way. 3rd down in 4. And here's Lewis off the catch. Lewis still on his feet, and Lewis is streaking down the sideline. Touchdown. So they move back 5 yards.
All right, good morning. It is the Jaguar Journal. Glad to have you guys with us. I am Perry White. Got about 90 seconds before we get ready to get to the top of the hour. I want to thank Coach Carlos Funches, Southern University head women's basketball coach, coming on, talking to us about today's big game with Texas Southern. Of course, we started the new conference schedule. That new schedule now has women's basketball on its standout, playing along on Thursday nights. And when we come back at the top of the hour, I'm going to go through the rest of the conference. We're going to look at some of the teams in women's basketball, as well as I'm going to look on the other side of men's basketball, because conference play is here. Things are getting started, and it is going to rock and roll, and we're going to look at how it's going to shape up and what are things looking like right now, because we know those non-conference schedules are tough for our conference teams, and we'll take a look and see who are some of the better teams who made it out of conference play, marquee victories in the conference, and what is it looking like as the men's going to start today. Women already started on Thursday. So as we take a look at all of that, it is that time of year. We're transitioning from the football side of things to the basketball side of things. So I want to thank Coach Carlos Funches coming on. And everybody that's out there listening, good morning on 107.3 FM. Good morning to everybody watching and listening on our YouTube and Facebook, and everybody else listening and watching on everything else, man. Glad to have you guys be supporters Go follow us across social media. Hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Thank you and good morning. Glad to have you guys with us. My man Mike on the board. I'm Perry White. Mike, where we are? All right, let's get ready to take a break. We're at the top of the hour. You guys stay tuned. Go get your coffee. Go use the bathroom. Wake up and come back in about 4 minutes, and we're going to be ready to rock and roll with more of the Jaguar Journal.
Quarter with Jackson State leading 10-3. Ball's at the 31-yard line. Again, throwing the football downfield. Oh, and his receiver, Hayes, makes the catch. See you later. Touchdown, Southern. And every time you think Southern struggles, they come back, they make a play. They've done it all year long. Kick is up. Kick is good. Second down and a yard to go. Again, they give it to Lewis. Lewis finds room. Lewis still on his feet. Lewis making a move to the outside. He's inside the 25, the 10, the 5. What a run by Ryan Lewis. 69-yard run for Ryan Lewis. And how about this? Kicks up. Kicks good. Halftime, George Johnson along with Charles Mann. Southern trailed in this football game 10-7. Then they reel off 14 straight points, and they do it with the big plays.
And that's something that we didn't think would happen, at least from Southern's perspective. They've been able to methodically go down the field on people and win ball games, not the big plays. You saw the big play by Ryan Lewis running 69 yards, the nice throw by Terrence Levy. This is something that I don't think Jackson State thought they would see in Southern either, and they go into halftime down by 7 points.
Jackson State came in the best defense out of the SWAC. And if you take a look at the highlights, you will see that this club, and I'm talking about Southern, was really able to capitalize on a couple of miscues, and the big plays are the result of it.
And this is Daniel Guy with a nice stiff arm to Bradley Pittman there. And he runs that ball 36 yards inside for a touchdown, makes it 7-3. And then Terrence Levy, quarterbacking, throws a big bomb to Michael Hayes, who gets by Rashard Anderson and waltzes into the end zone for a 69-yard reception. And then the big run by Ryan Lewis, a scat back for Southern, races 69 yards for the score. And that's where it stands right now, 17-10. Southern is on top.
Passing leaders in the conference, Lionel Hayes from Grambling, your top passer. Washington second, but he's intercepted right there. This time the inside handoff,
and the ball was dropped, and Tommy Head.
Here's Taylor in the pocket, looking downfield, and looking for Leroy Fields, and this one looks intercepted, and it is.
He's played a lot tougher ever since. And this is a free play for Southern.
2nd and 15.
It's a free play.
Levy completes his
It's
pass.
a free play.
Oh, and he's still up.
It's a free play.
Hayes is going to continue running inside the 10, the 5. Unbelievable Michael Hayes. Hayes now with 187 yards receiving. 169-yard touchdown, 181-yard touchdown.
And Southern's came up with all the big plays.
They lead by 14. And that one is intercepted by Darden. Darden looking for some room, and Guyan will finally drag him down. But we start the fourth right after this. 2nd down and 20 after the penalty.
Oh, he's got a man wide open.
Going into the corner. Touchdown! Reynolds attempting the point after. It's good. A 32-yard field goal. Kick is up. Kick is good.
This is a great football game.
We knew it would be, though. Torrey Thigpen got us out of our seats.
And this is the punt return by Torrey Thigpen. We were just talking about we haven't seen him. He breaks 2 tackles and runs up the sideline. He has great blocking, but gets pushed out of bounds on about the 1-yard line.
And touchdown Jackson State.
The game is a game of momentum swings. Snap is good. The kick is up.
On driver. Yes, sir.
The ball up to the big receiver, Michael Hayes. There he goes.
makes the catch. Hayes still on his feet. Hayes looking for blocking. Hayes trying to find a hole. Hayes is still on his feet. He alley-oops. He's inside the 15 and drawn out of bounds at the 10-yard line. An I formation. Oh! Fumble Levy. He kicks it and falls on top of it.
Touchdown. Receiver that has not seen much action.
All right, we are back. It is the Jaguar Journal. Good morning to everybody. Glad to have you guys with us. I'm Perry White. It is 8:02 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Listen, as we get things rocking and rolling, I want to thank Coach Carlos Funches, Southern University head women's basketball coach, coming on, talking to us about the team getting their big victory on Thursday against Prairie View. Good morning to everybody out there listening on 107.3 FM. And everybody watching on our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. And everybody watching on our Facebook Live, hit the follow button and keep up with us, all right? All right, let's look at some SWAC women's basketball. Let's start on that side because they got things started on Thursday night, right? And we start with Southern. Southern gets the victory 60-48 over Prairie View. And look at some other games. How about the upset? Grambling was the preseason #1 team in the conference. Texas Southern, how about Texas Southern getting the victory on the women's side, 85-74 over Grambling. That one turned some head. Alabama State getting the victory over UAPB, 58-46. And then the last game, Alabama A&M getting a big victory over Mississippi Valley, 89-53. So Texas Southern, Alabama State Southern, and Alabama A&M, all four teams start off conference play 1-0 as we move to the new format of women's basketball being played on Thursday nights. And now we look at matchups today, right? Matchup that's going to tip off at 12 o'clock on the women's side. Jackson State versus Alcorn. Both these teams coming to this game 2-9, tough non-conference game. Of course, Jackson State in their first year without Coach Tamika Reed. And so now they move forward trying to find their new identity. But Jackson and Alcorn, of course, remember this game last year. Alcorn found themselves on the women's side in the SWAC championship game. Kind of late season run is the sort of say. And now they got the matchup today. Two Mississippi teams. How about Mississippi Valley headed over to Montgomery? Mississippi Valley 1-11 on the season, taking on Alabama State. Alabama State 3-10 coming into this ball game. Bama State just got the victory against Pine Bluff on Thursday. Grambling and Prairie View. Grambling has an opportunity to try to shake back after that unexpected loss to Texas Southern. They're taking on Coach Sandy Pugh. And Prairie View today should be an interesting matchup right there. Both teams come in with 3 victories. Grambling's 3-9 on the season. Prairie View 3-7. UAPB going to take on Alabama A&M. Of course, UAPB's former coach, Coach Don Thornton, is now the head women's basketball coach at Alabama A&M. So this should be a hell of a matchup of her taking on her former team in UAPB. The Golden Lions, UAPB women's basketball, go up there 2-9 to Huntsville. How about Alabama A&M at 8-5 so far on the season? And taking just a little closer look at them, they got victory in this season against Eastern Michigan, 66-57. That was one that kind of turned some heads of people. They got a victory against San Diego, 78-67. And then they got a victory against Lindenwood in North Alabama, 61-58 and 80-77. And then as they close things out, another big victory in the Tulane Holiday Tournament, getting a 55-53 victory over Central Arkansas. So that Alabama A&M Bulldog team on the women's side has gotten some victories as they sitting there 8-5 in conference play, 8-5 overall, 1-0 in conference play. Then Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M today, both teams coming into that matchup, 3 games apiece winning. Bethune-Cookman 3-9, Florida A&M 3-8, and then, of course, Southern University taking on Texas Southern today in this matchup in the SWAC on the road. The Tigers are 2-2 at home. Southern looking to go 2-0. Looking to go 2-0 in conference play. The Jaguars so far are 1-0. Southern is 8th in the conference in scoring, with averaging 55 points per game and shooting 34%. Now, we talked to Coach Funches about the free throw shooting. He said, yes, that could be they can improve on free throw. You're looking at Texas Southern shooting today, coming into this one, averaging 34.3% from the field on the season and 9.3 points lower than Southern, who shoots 43.6% that Southern is allowing. Southern is shooting 34.1% from the field themselves, and they're going to have a pretty good day at shooting on the road. As we know, it's going to be tough against Texas Southern. You look at Texas Southern in their last 10 games, they're 2-8, averaging 69 points a game, 37 rebounds, 11 assists, and 11 steals while shooting 35%. Southern, on the other side, in their last 10 games, 3 of 7, averaging 57 points with 31 rebounds, 12 assists, 9 steals, and 2 blocks per game, shooting 34.6% from the field. And they also got to find a way to close this out on the road. And then you look at Monday, of course, no games are to be played because we're only looking at right now Thursday and Saturday games on the women's side. 4 teams right now all stacked up in that first place, starting off 1-0 in conference play: Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Southern, and Texas Southern. 4 teams at the bottom right now who are going to start conference play 0-1. They're Prairie View, Grambling, UAPB, and Valley. And teams looking for their first conference victory today is going to be Florida A&M, Bethune-Cookman, Alcorn, and Jackson State, all stacked up right there. This should be interesting with SWAC women's basketball this year. Looking at what Southern is right now, all of these teams took tough non-conference play, and I talked about it with Southern. Let's go through their non-conferences. They started the season on the road, taking on number 10 Oklahoma. And remember, the season before, Southern went on the road and defeated Oklahoma. Oklahoma women's basketball team went on to win the Big 12 women's tournament. And so that was interesting to see Southern go get that victory. This time, not so much. Oklahoma getting the victory 76-44 to start the season. Southern then takes on Missouri, losing 66-51. They took on number 8 Iowa State, falling short 84-56. Remember, this all on the women's side. Southern then takes on number 21 Nebraska, falling 84-58. Then they had both Colorados, Colorado and Colorado State. 65-45 loss to Colorado, a 78-47 loss to Colorado State. Then taking on down in the Bahamas, number 20 North Carolina State, 77-47. The Southern University women's basketball team falls short, and then they took on Washington in that same tournament and lost 61-43. They returned home and got a victory over Suno, 89-34. Then they took on the number 6 Texas, 97-39 in this one. Jaguars, Southern University women's basketball falls short. Then they get a victory against Jarvis Christian, 83-47. And then they fall to DePaul, 76-64. And then as they closed out non-conference play on the road, taking on Illinois, 69-57, as they wrapped up non-conference play on December the 20th. Then to start conference play, taking on Prairie View. On Thursday night, the Jaguars got the victory, 60-48. As I said before, shot 21 of 51 for 41% around the field. 3 of 11 from the three-point line, shooting 27%, and 15 of 35 from the free throw line, shooting 42%. On the other side for Sandy Pugh and Prairie View, 14 of 45, shooting 31% around the field. 2 of 10 from the three-point line, shooting 20%, and 18 of 25 from the free throw line, shooting 72%. Southern University women's basketball out-rebound Prairie View. Southern University getting 40 rebounds, 20 offensively, 20 defensively on the other side for Prairie View women's basketball. 29 rebounds, 11 offensively, 18 defensively. Southern with 15 steals in this ball game, 2 blocks, 23 turnovers in this one. 34 points in the paint, and their largest lead in this ball game was 5 points, 11 points off a fast break. So it's going to be an interesting matchup with Texas Southern today. Let's look at Texas Southern women's basketball team, who ultimately got the victory against Grambling on Thursday night, which we are considering that an upset. Grambling preseason number 1 on the women's side. In this one, Texas Southern's defense able to hold Grambling women's basketball to shoot 26 of 76 from 34% around the field. Grambling women's basketball shot 3 of 16 from the three-point line for 18%, and they shot 19 of 27 from the free throw line for 70%. On the other side for Texas Southern women's basketball, shooting 27 of 68 for 39%, 6 of 21 from the three-point line, shooting 28%, and 25 of 37 from the free throw line, shooting 67%. Grambling Texas Southern women's basketball out-rebound Grambling by 3. 53 rebounds for Texas Southern women's basketball, 22 offensively, 31 defensively. On the other side for Grambling, 50 rebounds, 24 offensively, 26 defensively. Gramblin's women's basketball team, 9 assists, 12 steals, 4 blocks, 18 turnovers in this one. On the other side for Texas Southern, 18 assists, 9 steals, 1 block, 22 total turnovers, 19 points in fast break, 38 points in the paint. For Grambling, it was 42 points in the paint and 13 points off of fast breaks. The largest lead in this ball game for Texas Southern women's basketball, 21 points in this one for them. And so they were able to get the victory. Let's take a look at Texas Southern and what they've looked at in non-conference. They lost to Stephen F. Austin, North Texas. They lost to Oklahoma State. They lost in overtime by 1 point to East Texas A&M. They got a victory against Biblical Studies, 119-27. All right. They lost to Baylor, 101 to 29. Wow. Lost to UCF, 93-87, one of the closest game of the season for Texas Southern. Losing right there to In-Town Rice, 89-62. Lost to Texas A&M's 85-60. They beat California Baptist. Oh, no, they actually lost to them 72-58. And then they lost to Tarleton State 67-55. So I guess you could say this team is battle-tested. They got that victory over Grambling, and they're looking to move forward to try to make this a tough one with Southern today. Southern and Texas Southern on the women's side should be an interesting matchup. Another game I think should be interesting today that I'm going to look at is going to be this Jackson State and Alcorn game. Looking at just both of these programs from last year, they met in the SWAC championship. Alcorn State was a team that, I guess if you want to say Cinderella, they went on a run late and found themselves in a SWAC championship game. And you look at them right now, hey, they're going to take on a rival in Jackson State. I like this matchup just because of what all transpired last year. Alcorn losing to North Texas, lost to Mississippi State, Alabama, Middle Tennessee State, Nichols, Houston. Some tough non-conference games for some of these teams. Lost to Louisiana Tech, UAB, and then they ended it out with a 93-41 non-conference loss to number 25, Ole Miss. Let's take a look at Jackson State because Jackson State, defending SWAC champs, of course, last year they went on to take on UConn in the NCAA tournament. We all know Coach Tamika Reed ultimately moved on to Charlotte, and now they're headed in a different direction under new leadership in Jackson State. So far in non-conference, they took on Clemson, losing 78-44. East Tennessee State, they beat 55-48. They fell short to Tennessee Tech, 84-56. Ole Miss got a victory against Jackson State, 76-44. Tulane, 77-34 over Jackson State. Jackson State also fell short to Morehead State, 87-57. You move on over, they lost to Arkansas State, 76-65. A tough one against Minnesota, 81-43. They beat Mercer, 66-54. And then a tough loss in their last non-conference game on December the 29th. Jackson State women's basketball fell short to Missouri, 90-51. Because they have that one game this weekend, it'll be against Alcorn. So Jackson State, Alcorn, tip off at 12 o'clock. That's the game I think to circle. Rematch to start the conference season of last year's SWAC championship game in the tournament. Let's get ready to take a break. We come back on the other side. I'll start to jump over to men's basketball because conference play tips off today, and we'll look at some of these teams in their non-conference play, including Southern. So you guys stay tuned. We'll be right back. More of the Jaguar Journal.
Quincy Richard is the quarterback. And, Don, this is a man who's really changed his game from last season, and he's a graduate student as well.
Yes, he has, Bob. Quincy Richard has matured into the unquestioned leader of this Southern University offensive attack. 10 wins this season, and he set school marks for passing yards and touchdown passes. And Bobby's had a lot of help. Only 5 sacks on the season.
He earned his undergraduate degree back in August. He's taking some master's classes, and he wants to be a lawyer.
Here's Richard looking in the end zone. Has a man there. Touchdown, Southern University.
Play clock down to 3. Richard gets it off over the middle. Touchdown.
Holmes goes in motion and comes set on a 1st and 10. Richard completes it. That's Ard. Ard down the sideline. He could go. And finally pushed out of bounds. Richard's run for 10 touchdowns this season. He's going to keep it. Richard goes in. Make it 11 for Quincy Richard. Richard wide open. Touchdown, Chris Davis. Oh, does he love playing football even more now?
That in the flag against Grambling, holding on the kickoff.
Richard looking deep, and it's a touchdown.
But only 3 times did he go down. Twice he ran out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage. It goes down as a sack.
2nd and 8. The deep ball, and that's our man, Chris Davis, for the touchdown. Time for today's State Farm Players of the Game. And from Southern University, the quarterback, number 15, Quincy Richard, 34 of 42, 552 yards, 5 touchdown passes.
Quincy, on behalf of State Farm Insurance Companies, I want to present you with a trophy for the most outstanding player today. Congratulations.
All right, it is the Jaguar Journal. Good morning. It is 8:18 a.m. as we get things rocking and rolling. Good morning to everybody out there listening on 107.3 FM here in Baton Rouge in the capital city area. All of our listeners and watchers on our YouTube channel and our Facebook. Be sure to hit that follow button and subscribe. We'd love to have your support as we continue to grow the show. All right, so obviously, as you can tell, we're transitioning into basketball, and so as we're talking about basketball, women's basketball tipped off in conference play on Thursday with the new SWAC conference format. Women's basketball now with a standalone game. No more the Saturday and the Monday night games. It's Thursday night women's basketball all on its own. And so because of that, men's basketball tips off today. Men's basketball, it'll be Southern versus Texas Southern on that side. And listen, this should be a good matchup between these two. Let's look at Southern because we had Coach Kevin Johnson here on the show last week to talk about the program. Let's go through non-conference because Southern had a pretty decent non-conference standing as they're coming into conference play. Start the season a 93-79 loss to South Dakota. On the road to Iowa, they lose 89-74. They get a victory over Ecclesian College, 131-42. They lose to East Texas A&M 70-68 in a tough one. I watched this game on the SEC Network against number 23 Texas A&M. They fell short 71-54. That game was a lot closer early on, but Southern just kind of went through a dry spell in shooting the ball. They get a victory against Champion Christian 121-58, and then they get a victory over Louisiana Tech up there in Ruston, Louisiana, 73-70. And then they come back and follow this one up and get a victory against Tulsa, 70-66. Another big victory at home against Lindsey Wilson. That was my first time able to watch this team in person. That Lindsey Wilson team was a lot better than what this final score indicates. Is Southern got that victory 94-69. In a tough one against number 17 Ole Miss. It just seemed like they could not buy a bucket for like 6 minutes in this one. They fell short 74-61. And then they went over to California and fall short against Loyola Marymount, 89-73. Then they took on the Trojans of USC, fell short 82-51. And then in their last outing, falling short 77-43 against Nebraska. Let's look at this game, I guess, against Nebraska, as the Jaguars shot 17 of 67 in this ball game for 25%, 3 of 24 from the three-point line. That's where you got to clean things up, shooting 12% from the three-point line. That is a tough day, 3 of 24 shooting from the three-point line. 6 of 16 from the free throw line, shooting 37% with 39 rebounds. Let's look at Nebraska on the other side. Nebraska, who was 11-2 in that game, 26 of 53, shooting 49%. They were 13 of 30 from the three-point line, shooting 43%, and 12 of 18 from the free throw line for them. Let's go back and look at some of the games that Southern did win against some opponents and kind of break that down. Like, let's take this win against Louisiana Tech, for example. 73-70 over Louisiana Tech. It was Louisiana Tech's first loss of the season at that time, and Southern was able to get that victory. Southern in this ball game against Louisiana Tech shot 26 of 60 for 43% around the field. They were 9 of 25 from the three-point line, shooting 36%, and 12 of 17 from the free throw line, shooting 70%. On the other side for Louisiana Tech in that one, they shot 22 of 50 for 44%, 9 of 26 from the three-point line, shooting 34%, and 17 of 22 from the free throw line, shooting 77%. Southern out-rebound Louisiana Tech, 34 rebounds to 30 rebounds. 14 total turnovers for the Jaguars, 17 for Louisiana Tech. 28 points in the paint for Southern, 11 off fast break points on the other side for Louisiana Tech. 26 points in the paint and 5 points off of fast breaks in that ball game. Southern able to get a 3-point victory. Now let's look at a victory against Tulsa and look at some of the stats and what was successful in that one. Tulsa 4-6 on the season at the time of that ball game. Southern shoots 23 of 62 in that ball game for 37%, 3 of 14 from the three-point line, shooting 21%, and 21 of 25% from the free throw line, shooting 84%. So far, one of the best outings of free throw shooting I've seen for the Jaguars. On the other side for Tulsa, shooting 21 of 51 for 41%. They were 8 of 26 from the three-point line, shooting 30%, and 16 of 21 from the free throw line, shooting 76%. Tulsa did out-rebound the Jaguars by 36 rebounds to 35 rebounds. In this ball game, 13 total turnovers for Tulsa, 7 for the Jaguars. Southern was able to get 14 points off those turnovers, 10-point fast break points in this one, and 40 points in the paint for the Jaguars on the other side for Tulsa. 10 points off of the fast break and 26 points in the paint. Southern largest lead in that game was 7. And then you look at the matchup today against Texas Southern. Should be a great one. Texas Southern comes into this game at 3-10. Now, listen, we always know Texas Southern is going to, in Southern, is always going to be a hell of a matchup when you look at them. Let's look at Texas Southern and their non-conference coming in today's matchup to start conference play. They started the season with a 78-69 loss to Xavier before getting a victory against Texas A&M San Antonio 100-66. They fell short to the Georgia Bulldogs 92-64. They fell short to Georgia Tech 81-62. They fell short to Sanford 97-82. New Mexico got a victory over them 99-68. And then they got a victory over a Texas A&M team, one of those smaller teams, 80-72. Then they kept it going, lost to Texas State 72-59, lost to Sam Houston 87-71. They let Nevada get off on them 105-73. They fell short to Boise State 82-51. They fell by 4 to Abilene Christian 69-65. And then, of course, they beat this Biblical Studies team 103-68 as they come into today's matchup against Southern University. Let's look at teams in the matchups that we're going to see so far in conference play today, as we have some big matchups. You got Southern versus Texas Southern, no doubt about it. That's going to be one of the biggest ones. UAPB men's on the road taking on Alabama A&M. Alabama A&M 4-9 on the season. UAPB men's basketball team 3-10. And then Bethune-Cookman taking on Florida A&M. That should be a good one. Bethune-Cookman and Reggie Theus, I think, when I looked at this team, remember this team last year was just a thorn in Southern's side. Southern could not beat Bethune-Cookman, lost to them twice in the regular season, and then lost to them in the SWAC tournament. And that Reggie Theus team, when I saw them play that first time, I said, man, this is a really good ball club. They get after it. They got points in the paint. They were a pretty good perimeter shooting team, and they showed why they were able to make it deep into the SWAC basketball tournament. They're taking on Florida A&M in today. Both those teams come into today's matchup. Bethune-Cookman 3-10, Florida A&M 3-8. Bethune-Cookman is the favorite in the spread. How about Texas Southern being the favorite today in the spread over Southern just by 2 points? It should be an interesting matchup considering the success Southern had in non-conference play. It still shows the respect that many have in terms of Texas Southern and their basketball club. Every year we know Texas Southern men's basketball is going to bring it to you. And then Alabama A&M is a 9-point favorite today over the UAPB Golden Lions. Other matchups, you got Mississippi Valley on the road taking on Alabama State. Alabama State is a 24 points in the SWAC. Jesus. All right, let me get back on track. Alabama State is a 24-point favorite over Mississippi Valley today. Alcorn and Jackson should be a good one. Both these teams 0-13 coming into today's conference play. Man, that is just tough. Both these teams 0-13. Jackson State is a 2-point favorite in that one, and then Grambling taking on Prairie View. Grambling is a 3-point favorite. Grambling comes into this one 3-10 on the season, 1-12 overall for Prairie View. This should be interesting. Now, I don't know where this is going to go in SWAC conference play. Right now, if I have to look at it, I'm going with Southern and Texas Southern as my favorites in the conference. I think starting the conference play out today give you an early opportunity to see where these two teams stand, especially coming off that tough non-conference. You can never count out Grambling. Of course, Grambling last year going and winning it all, and then going into the NCAA tournament, winning their first ever NCAA tournament game in that first 16. Now, this is one of the toughest parts when you start to talk about teams going into the NCAA tournament after winning the SWAC tournament, is the records coming out of non-conference play. This is why when you see us have to play in that first 16, this is why. Alcorn and Jackson State both coming to today 0-13. Somebody's going to get their first victory today coming out of non-conference. Prairie View coming into their first conference game today 1-12. Mississippi Valley 2-11. Texas Southern, Grambling, and Bethune-Cookman, along with UAPB, all 3-10 coming out of non-conference play. FAMU 3-8. Alabama State 4-9, along with Alabama A&M. And then you have Southern, who's 5-8. So when you start to look at that stack up, man, it makes it tough for the conference to get out of that first 16 game because of just the poor showing as a conference when it comes to those non-conference games. Now, if you ask me, the team with the best opportunity to maybe get out of that first 16 would probably be Southern. Southern would nearly have to run the table in conference play, though. Everybody else is going to pretty much find themselves, regardless of how many games they win, and if they win the conference tournament, going to find themselves in that first 16. Southern has the best chance, in my opinion, right now to be the team of the conference. If they can run the table and get some legit wins in this conference, when I say legit, I mean soundly, would have the best opportunity to me, considering what they were able to do in non-conference, to maybe, just maybe, miss that first 16 in. All right, let's get ready to take a break, ladies and gentlemen. I have reached that 8:30 mark. Let's pay some bills, and we stay tuned. We'll be right back. More of the Jaguar Journal.
It's On the Yard Sports, and I'm Perry White, and what I need for you to do is go follow and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter right now.
T.R. Ricks is a fifth-year senior who's getting his first chance to drive the train that Bob talked about. And right now, he's driving it quite well because the Southern Jaguars are kicking butt in the SWAC conference. As Bob mentioned, 6-0 overall in the SWAC, and T.R. Ricks has played so well. Over 2,000 yards passing. In the last 3 games running the football, he's been over 100 yards on the ground. The respect factor that he gets from his teammates is incredible. As a fifth-year senior who's never started, they elected him captain. And the numbers he has put up are represented on your screen. 27 total touchdowns on the offense, a pass percentage of nearly 60%. He could be the SWAC Player of the Year on the offensive side.
Best, and they're going to get a huge dose of the best offensive player in the SWAC, and that being Thomas Ricks.
Yeah, what Thomas Ricks has found a way to do is just beat defenses either with his arm, with his feet, or with his leadership capabilities, finding a way to win the games late with fourth-quarter comebacks. He showed versatility and athleticism. He's a tremendous athlete that knows how to win, most importantly.
He really is a leader both on and off the field.
I just think it has come to a maturity level. I have a 4-year-old son, and when he was born, I had to grow up fast, and just staying in school and practicing every day, trying to get better every day, just so he can have a better future. It's just been my inspiration. So, I just think that's my motor that drives me and, keeps me in the game.
His 4-year-old son, Collier, has not missed a game this season. They throw the football around in Rick's dorm room at Southern, and he says it's great playing football with Collier. 1st and 10. Ricks. He's got Vernon. Vernon makes the catch at the 45.
They can run the entire offense with all those guys in the game.
Ricks to Vernon. 1st down. Holmes in the backfield. Ricks. 1st down. Gage on the tackle, but not until Ricks picks up the 1st down. 2nd and 7. Ricks. Overstreet's got it. Across midfield. Ricks has a receiver downfield. It's caught for a touchdown. Territory. Ricks fakes the pitch. Gets inside the 15.
He's in the type of young men that represent his philosophy in life and in football.
Ricks in a shotgun. He's going to run it out to the 10. And 2nd and 11 after the holding penalty. Sidearm toss.
All right, we're back. It's the Jaguar Journal. Good morning to everybody. I am Perry White. Everybody listening on 107.3 FM in the capital city area of Baton Rouge. Good to have you guys with us, and everybody watching on our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. And everybody watching on our Facebook Live. We're kind of all over the place. My man Mike behind the scenes making it do what it do. I'm right here on the scene making it do what it do, man. And I have to give condolences to the family of longtime Southern University Jaguar athletic trainer Carl Doc Williams, who passed away. Legendary in his time at Southern University, as he was a trainer from 1963 to 2006. And a lot of you guys who are around know him. He was before my time, so I didn't get a chance to know Doc. I didn't get a chance to matter of fact, I don't even think I never did even meet Doc. But I know for a lot of people who are around the program and around Southern University, you knew who he was. And I have to pay my respect because, once again, it didn't just start with me. So people were there way before me. Unfortunately, I just never got a chance to cross paths with him. But as he passed away, long time Southern University Jaguar athletic trainer from 1963 to 2006. Carl Doc Williams passed away as we started this new year. So, condolences to his family and everybody out there closely associated and everybody who, encountered him over the years. That's a long time, 1963 to 2006, man. That's a long time to be around. And so, like I said, I never did get a chance to truly get to meet him and get to know him. That was right before my time when I came to Southern. I got to Southern in 2010 when I moved to Baton Rouge, and so he was already removed. So, condolences to his family and everybody affected by that, by his loss as we start the new year. And Happy New Year to you guys. It's 2025. Hope you guys are getting things started on the right way, the right direction. I know you guys doing your New Year's resolutions, right? What are you guys doing? What's your New Year's resolution? I know some of y'all trying to lose a little of that weight. So the gym memberships are, I'm pretty sure, through the roof right now. But you'll give up by Friday. It'll be over with by Friday, right? You're not going to stay consistent, are you? I'm believing in you. I hope you stay consistent. You say you're going to give up, what? What you going to give up? Caffeine? You gonna let that coffee go? Them cold drinks? Huh? Some of y'all giving up smoking? You gonna put the vapes and the cigarettes down? What you gonna do, huh? You gonna try to eat cleaner? Let's see how long them salads last. See how long that salad lasts for you somewhere in Louisiana eating bad again. Because you just can't help yourself in Louisiana. Those New Year's resolutions. You going to keep that gym membership going, or you just did 6 months just to go in there for 6 days? Huh? What you doing? I don't even do New Year's resolutions, man. That's just like I'm Catholic, so, growing up, you used to have to give up stuff for Lent as a kid. You said the same thing every year. I'm giving up candy for 40 days and 40 nights, right? Then eat meat on Fridays, right? Yeah, New Year's resolutions. All I could do is just say, man, I'm just trying to be better today than I was yesterday. And it don't matter what year it is. It don't matter if it's the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, or the end of the year. The goal is all the same, man. I'm just trying to be a better man, a better father, just a better person overall. Growth and development is all a part of the structure right now. That's all I'm trying to be, man. Just be better. 225-499-1073 if you want to call in, because I'm done talking about everything else. 225-499-1073 is the number. You guys been paying attention to the college football playoffs, right? Everybody with a bye got knocked off. Arizona State, Boise State, Georgia, Oregon just got annihilated by Ohio State, man. So far, I was impressed with Arizona State. I can't tell you the last time I thought about Arizona State football. Right? Just don't. No other way to put it. Boise State, it was Penn State. I was most impressed with Notre Dame. How about Notre Dame? I'm a Notre Dame fan. Yeah, I am. To watch Notre Dame do what they did against Georgia, Notre Dame looked like a really good coach football team. They really did. Looked like a really good coach football team. Then, of course, you're going to have the FCS National Championship, I believe, on Monday. You're going to have North Dakota State taking on Montana State. The transfer portal closed, but you still got guys out there getting shopped around. I've seen some pickup of some teams. Some people, I guess many people will want me to report on the transfer portal, particularly when what Southern's picking up a lot more. I kind of give it a break. I mean, I'm not finna hype y'all up. I'm not finna do any of that. I'm gonna wait till the dust is settled and we see what it is. That's what I'm looking for. Good thing about it is we ain't seen nobody like Kelby Givens in the transfer portal. All right? Good thing about it. Seem like they done a pretty good job at retaining, right? We saw Xavier Tissett has decided to go on to Grambling. That's fine. Wish that man much success. Seemed like he signed with Grambling, and Kobe Dillon hit the transfer portal. Not sure where he's going to end up. We got somebody on the phone line? All right. Good morning, Chuck. How you doing, man? Happy New Year.
Good morning to you. Yeah, Happy New Year to you and Mike. I was calling just chiming in what you were just talking about. This is what's happening now with the you were just talking about the college football playoffs. There's some of the history being made. Notre Dame and Penn State. It's going to be two black head coaches coaching against each other. James Franklin at Penn State and Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. Eddie George's college teammate at Ohio State.
And they the two most light-skinned brothers they can find, too.
Yeah. James Franklin. Yeah, James Franklin. I remember he was at Vanderbilt. Yeah, he had to tell when I first saw him, he was very light. He had to tell you that he said, yeah, I'm black. It's transfer portal time, and I was looking at one of the young men from down there is heading up my way, the quarterback, Xavier Tissett. I had heard about that the other day from he was talking about it, and I said, "Oh, Tissett is coming up here." I said, "Okay, I want to see what coordinator that Mickey Jones is going to have there to work with him." And I just, so much is happening, with coaching changes and everything else, and it's quite interesting. And you're talking about Kobe Dillon, and I said, where's Dillon going to be going?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything
going about that. Yeah, no, he's from Faraday, and he's from Faraday. I remember I got to know his coach quite well. His high school coaching. He played on the 2019 state championship team at Faraday High School. His coach, Stanley Smith, he wore braids just like you were. What happened when they won the state championship? He said if they won state that he was going to cut the braids off, and Stanley ended up cutting the braids off. Yeah. But yeah, it should be quite interesting in 2025 what's going to happen in the college athletics landmark. And thinking about all the coaching change, I want to see how it's going to look with Bill Belichick at North Carolina at 72 years old. Can he relate to this generation? I'm gonna land on that one.
All right, thank you, Chuck.
Okay, you all take care.
You're looking around college football, particularly the SWAC. Alabama A&M just named a head coach, Samuel Shade just took over at Alabama A&M, coming over from Miles College. Was at Miles College from 2022 to 2024. Before that, he was a high school football coach over in Alabama. Served some time as the assistant special team coach for the Cleveland Browns. Interesting hire. He went 18-15 at Miles College, 1-9 in 2022, 7-3 in 2023, and 10-3 last year in 2024, 8-0 in conference play. Now he takes over for Connell Maynor, who was ultimately let go. I like this, Matt. I like this hire, actually. I think all the writing on the wall and all the roads kind of led to Sam Shade in this hire. I think he's a guy that's proven. He's been a winner everywhere he's gone. And it's what Alabama A&M needs. I think Alabama A&M suffered long enough under Connell Maynor, who was just getting them absolutely nowhere. That's an interesting hire. Still waiting on the hire from Mississippi Valley. We don't know who Valley is going to get. We know Prairie View got the coach from Valdosta State, Coach Tremaine, who took Valdosta State to a Division II national championship in which they fell short. But I think if you ask me, that's one of the hires that should be turning heads that people have been quite quiet about. I think that man right there is a proven winner. And if he can get Prairie View headed in the right direction, I think Prairie View will be one of those ball clubs you got to watch out for. I'm curious to see with Coach Graves and his staff in year 2. I think the biggest thing now with Southern is recruiting. It's the recruiting trail. What are the pieces that are going to be added? You got some returning pieces. Got some pretty decent returning pieces on the defensive side. In all honesty, Southern's defense is not what I've been worried about over the past 3 years. It's been literally Southern's offense the past 3 years. And what has made it even tougher is being able to find a quarterback, man. Feel like we done went through so many quarterbacks to get to nowhere. Well, we had Bashawn McCray, Harold Blood, Noah Biden, T-Set. I'm curious to see what that's going to be like. That's the biggest thing everybody's been wondering. Southern's recruiting, and more particularly the transfer portal. How is it going to look? What is spring football going to look like for us? I really want to see us in terms of strength and conditioning. I want to see us get stronger. As my man Coach Kadar say, stronger and faster. Because this team didn't have no speed last year. No speed at all. It was evident in the return game. Even from the running back and the wide receiver position, we didn't have any speed. So I want to see us get stronger and faster. That's what I'm looking for. Strength and conditioning this year for Southern. Can we get some speed? That's what I want to know. Can we get some speed? And can we get a solid quarterback, a reliable quarterback? Continuity at the offensive line. And we need from the running back position, we need a bruiser. We need somebody who can tote that thing. We also need speed from the running back position. We need a little scat back. But we need a bruiser. We haven't had a bruiser from the running back position in quite some time. You know that big guy that I'm talking about? Let's get ready to take a break. We'll get back on the other side, get ready to close things out. Stay tuned. More to Jaguar Journal.
It's On the Yard Sports, and I'm Perry White, and what I need for you to do is go follow and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter right now.
Talk about offense, we talk about Southern, and it begins with their passing game.
Tom, beyond potent, we're talking about high octane, we're talking about fast break, we're talking about 41 points a game, some 500-plus yards since Terrence Levy has taken over this offense.
Because that young man doesn't drop any ball.
With the legacy that you started here, you got to feel happy to see it continue on with Doug Williams.
Ball now back at the 22-yard line. Levy, no pressure at all. Touchdown, Ingram. The Bayou Classic. Levy on a first and goal play. Throws a touchdown. Grambling comes with a blitz. Levy steps in the pocket. And his pass is caught. One-handed grab.
Sort of in the middle of the road of the SWAC, but immediately they jump on the Jackson State defense. And here's Levy rolling out. And the pass is caught. Ball is at the 31-yard line. Again throwing the football downfield. Oh, and his receiver Hayes makes the catch. See you later. Touchdown, Southern. If you're going to get, I got some free tickets. Look out for it, brother. Going downfield. Oh, and what a play by Southern.
Score. He's played a lot tougher ever since. And this is a free play for Southern.
2nd and 15.
It's a free play.
Levy completes his
pass.
It's
a free play.
Oh, and he's still up.
It's a free play.
Hayes is going to continue running inside the 10, the 5. Unbelievable, Michael Hayes. 3rd down. And 23 for a first. Levy over the middle. Nice pass that time. 2nd and 20. Levy doesn't have to get it all, but he's going to have to pick up some yards. Here he is throwing, nice catch made.
The receiver, Michael Hayes. There he goes.
Hayes makes the catch. Hayes still on his feet. Hayes looking for blocking. Hayes trying to find a hole. Hayes is still on his feet. He alley-oops. He's inside the 15 and drawn out a foul.
Touchdown.
The backfield. Plenty of time for Levy across the middle. Has his man at the 15. You know, I don't know if you want to break the spirit of Terrence Levy or not. Here he wings one wide open down the middle and a one-handed grab made.
The way. 3rd down and 4. And here's Lewis off the catch. Lewis still on his feet. And Lewis is streaking down the sideline. Touchdown. So they move back 5.
All right, we're back. It's the Jaguar Journal. Good morning to everybody. Hope you guys are having a good morning. 8:50 a.m. as we get ready to start this new year. We're rocking and rolling. Today is January the 4th. Hey, man, glad to have you guys as we start the new year. SWAC basketball is underway as we get conference play on the men's side started today. The women started on Thursday with the new format. How about Southern getting that victory on Thursday? Coach Carlos Funches and Southern women's basketball getting the victory over former Southern head women's basketball coach and now Prairie View head women's basketball coach Sandy Pugh. And so now the Jaguars Southern women's basketball have a tough one today against Texas Southern. Texas Southern got that big victory over preseason number 1 Grambling. And now they'll take on Southern and Texas Southern today on the women and the men's side. Should be a good game on both sides. Southern men's basketball team been dealing with some injuries, so they're going to be out without some of the top guys that they've been seeing to have brought production to this team in non-conference. And I think that's why when you look at the over-unders and the spread has Texas Southern, the 2-point favorite today over the Southern Jaguars. Should be a good matchup, though, nonetheless, between those two teams. And then Southern and Prairie View will play on Monday on the men's side as the women will be headed back because now women only play Thursday and Saturday. The men play Saturday and Monday. I'm still not sold on this new schedule format, but it's nothing that can be done. It ain't going to change. I'm not sold on it, though. I'm really not. I'm not sold on it yet. I still like to have those games, women and men games together. I just don't think, me personally, that SWAC women's basketball is there to stand alone yet. I really don't. And I'm going to be paying attention to the attendance as this season goes on to really see. I think you get more of a feel when you get that women's game before that men's game. Now, I know one of the biggest complaints were having men and women games on Monday night, and it made the game so much later into the evening, right? Totally understand. I totally understand. Because you get those late tip-off on the men's side on the Monday after the women play, but I like the men and women basketball games together. You heard Coach Funches say, man, hey, look, I enjoy watching that. And the other thing was that we're going to, I guess, see how thin does that make athletic and training staffs on top of broadcast teams, right? Because let's take Alabama, for example. You go play Alabama State and Alabama A&M. The women will play Alabama State on a Thursday night. That means you send your broadcast team to cover that game on a Thursday night in Montgomery. Then on Saturday, most likely you're going to be playing Alabama A&M in Huntsville. Broadcast team go to Huntsville. Then on Monday, your men's team is going to be playing Alabama State in Montgomery. So you're going to Montgomery, Huntsville, back to Montgomery, all from Thursday to Monday. So I'm, in athletic training staffs and all that, that's the part that's kind of got me conflicted with it. Because I know we limited resources. We low resources. And most of the big time programs, I get it. You can stand alone. But for us, you kind of, to me, it feel like we're stretching ourselves a little thin with that Thursday night game. Let's look at Monday. You're going to have Southern versus Prairie View on the men's side. UAPB versus Alabama State on the men's side. Valley taking on Alabama A&M on the men's side. And in a game that I think is going to be really good on Monday, that's going to be on ESPNU and ESPN Plus, Grambling taking on Texas Southern on the men's side. I like that matchup right there. I really do. Today's big matchup is going to be Southern versus Texas Southern on the men's side as well as on the women's side. I like that. And as we get ready to close things out, how long we have, Mike? Got 2 minutes, man. First of all, Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you guys had a safe holiday, had a good time spending time. The educators, you got to get back to work on Monday, educators. Appreciate you all that you do. I'm glad you had your break, but you got to get back to work to teach the future on Monday. I saw some folks on social media said they've been off work for so long, they damn near got to be retrained when they get back in that workplace on how does it work around here? For the guys and the ladies, thank you for all that you do with the educators. I know it's tough out there in them schools, man. Thank you for all that you do. And for everybody who's supporting us right here with the Jaguar Journal, of course, you can follow us across all social media, X, Instagram, Facebook. Man, we love to have your support as well as thank you for the subscribers. And go hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel, man. It costs nothing. It is free. It is going up. We appreciate you guys. Hit that subscribe button right there on our YouTube channel, man. Glad to have you guys with us. Good morning to everybody in the chat. Of course, my man Kevin Walker, Edwin Moore, Ronald Hunt, a.k.a. Chuck. Everybody, man, Mark Smith. Good morning to all of you guys, man. Good to have you. Good to have you. I know some people chat, some people don't. But as we get ready to go through the new year, man, I'm going to make this show a lot more entertaining. We just transitioning right now. It's like most things. It's just that slow period right now. Ain't no school going on. School will start back. We're transitioning from football to basketball. Baseball will ramp up before you know it. I have a lot more football news for you guys as we talk about who's coming to Southern, what's going to happen, all of that. So we're just in that little funky period right now. It's a transitional period. As you get to that last 2-3 weeks of the year, heading into that first 1 and 2 week of the new year, just that little short transitional period. But we'll get things rocking and rolling. Trust me, things are going to go. And I appreciate you guys for coming on and listening. Good morning to my man, Tilger, man. And everybody else, man, good morning to you. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Happy New Year to everybody, man. And I hope you guys have a safe weekend, an even safer week. If you got that New Year's resolution, stay true to it. Don't let it go. Stay true to it. If you're giving up that coffee, give it up. If you're going to that gym, get in there. You can listen to the Jaguar Journal while you in the gym. I got 2 hours of content for you. And for everybody else, man, I hope you guys have a great weekend, a great week. Enjoy yourself, man. Stay safe. And I'll be back next week at the same time in the same place. As always, it's the Jaguar Journal. Have a good one. What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live each and every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 107.3 FM. We also have our affiliates in Alexandria, Louisiana, as well as down in New Orleans. And if you're not able to catch us on radio live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us on Facebook. It's the Jaguar Journal.